Okay, so we're going to start off with the welcome widget. So if you go into your course and you go to coursework and you go to content, the way that this is structured, it is, if you see the table of contents right over here, you see module 1, 2, and 3, but above here you see welcome. Welcome is the module that kind of feeds into that welcome widget. So what I did was I basically just clicked where it said add a module. I typed in welcome. And if I click on welcome, I see the title, and I also see the resources in here that I've placed in here. So I put my syllabus in there. I created a web page. This way it just introduces myself. It's just a little brief introduction to myself as the instructor. You can put policies up here if you'd like to. Anything that you want them to see anything that you want them to see before they start the course. To add a document, you just go to upload and create, and you can upload files just like a Word document, a PDF, and so forth. If you just want to create like a web page within Brightspace, you just click on create a file. And you can select from these different document templates like getting started, which I'll just show you what it looks like. It's just basically putting a little bit of artwork up and some titles that you can come in here and edit, Frank. Helpful in some ways. If that one doesn't work, there's a ton of other ones in here that you can use, like a module introduction. So this is if you're going into module 1, like week 1 or whatever you want to call it, you can come in here and give them advice, suggestions, directions, whatever they need. Okay. So this would be one. If I wanted to, I could just do like a course introduction. Maybe I tell them what books I want them to buy. I could tell them what, how to contact me, what times, my phone number, whatever. I'm just going to hit save and close. Oh, need to have a title. There we are. Okay, so let me show you what it looks like I'm going to leave the course and go back in. So this way you kind of have to see what it turns out to look like. So I was in there working, and the students are going to come in here, and this is the first thing they're going to see is a course welcome page. Okay, gives you all the information. Actually, I went into the wrong sandbox. I have too many sandboxes. Let me go back, and I think I did the jellyfish one here. This one was kind of developed. So you'll see the widget that you'll see here's my syllabus. And then as my students, they have to read this. I can hit next, and then they'll see the next thing, which is my, welcome from the instructor. And here's information about the instructor. So it forces them to see it. It's a helpful page to really force the students to see this firsthand before they even jump into doing the coursework and missing something crucial. So that's called the welcome widget.
Ryan, once they hit dismiss, is that it? Or is there a way to kind of force them to engage with it? I can picture, that popping up and then students just...
I know, just hitting exit. I'm not 100%. I don't know if it's them having to go through each step and then closing it, or if it's just them exiting it out the first time. I'm not sure about that. I know that every time I enter it as an instructor, I see it and it comes up. So okay. I'm not 100% sure about that. A question I can ask later on to see if it's something that it forces them to where they either go through and it's gone, or does it force them to go through each single page? Okay, so
I could see too, that would be annoying, like if they actually did engage with it and it still popped up.
I know it says that if you keep on reading the directions, like inside of that template, it does give you the directions that say it's there and it always appears until they dismiss it. So I'm thinking at some point I'm worried that the first time they'll go in there, they'll just dismiss it, but
okay.
It's a double-edged blade, I think.
I'll poke around when I play with that. Thanks.
No problem. So some of the things I suggest is a welcome message, the syllabus, you can do course description, of course, the important policies like you know, how long it'll take you to communicate. You know, if they email you is the best way to get a hold of you, you'll get back to them in a certain amount of time. What happens if there's any issues that you can reach out to, you know, you can reach out to whomever. If you want to put a link to the library there, you can do it as well. Okay. So I'm going to go into assignments, which I know that is a little bit of a refresh for some people. I know, Jeff, you probably already saw it before, but I want to show you the name instructions. I want to go a little bit more into the assessment aspects of the assignment. I also want to show you how to build a rubric. Now, I will say this. I think there is an option or some sort of utility or something in the background that's turned off, that's not making rubrics linkable right now, but I think it's an easy fix that in the future will work. So anyway, I'm going to go to coursework, show you just how to create a new assignment. So you can do this a few other ways. I find the easiest way is to just go through coursework and content, because I'm a very, you know, when it comes to instruction, I see things in a very linear, progressive way. So I need to kind of see it embedded. So if I go to, say, for instance, module 1, here are all of my learning resources. And if I get down to the bottom, let's say, for instance, here's my assignment right here. Let's see, click on this real quick to show you what it looks like. You can see that this is the assignment I created. It's linked to points. As I create these, I can actually link them to rubrics. So if I'm going to go back to the beginning. And if you want to create a new assignment, you just go to create assignment, new assignment. And let's say that this is just a paper. We'll call it paper 2. Was it? I think it was paper, I don't care, paper 1. Now, if it's something that's not graded, you can leave it ungraded. If it's something that is going to be graded, you can obviously come in here and add points. If you always want to go back to it being ungraded, you can simply reset it here. Due date, I'm going to put the due date as, I don't know, I guess the 19th, just to put it. So, Frank, the nice thing about this is once I put a due date and I have students assigned in the course, they're actually going to see it on a calendar. So this way it's going to populate their own personal calendar, and they'll see that on December 19th at 11:59 p.m. they have something due. So it's kind of like a nice way of communicating. And here I'm going to just type in my instructions. You can copy and paste it from Word. You can put it in from wherever you want. I'm just going to put a bunch of stuff there. And here's where kind of Brightspace starts to really show its like versatility with how you give directions. If you want to, you can record a video, directions in video, or you can record it in audio if you wanted to. So it makes it a little more dynamic. If you're bringing documents, if you need to bring documents from other, like, you know, if you have something from Joule, you want to bring it to Brightspace, you can upload a file here. So let's say, for instance, you have a template that you want them to use, or you have, like, you know, you already have a set of directions. I don't feel like putting my directions in here. You can just upload a file there. You can link things. If you're a big Google Drive user, you can do that. Or you could use OneDrive if you're Microsoft Office, Office 365, Office Online, whatever. Okay, so the start and the end date, that's when this assignment is, like, it appears and disappears for the students. I'm not going to enter it right now because I was just getting jumbled all over the dates. But if you want the students to start to see it at a certain point and you don't want them to see it anymore, you can set these availability dates for them. Sometimes we have students that have special requests, they have special needs, maybe they have something to where they're going out of town early or something, and you want to give them a special access. You can actually manage the access to the resource right here. So this way you don't have to, like, make it open too early, you know, for everybody when it only is accommodating one person. Okay, so the submission and completion section's kind of important. Depends on how the student is going to give you a resource. Right now, we're pretty much having everything handed in digitally. So they're passing you a file somehow during this time. So if you do a file submission like this, they're going to give you a digital resource. They're going to give you a Word document, Excel spreadsheet, PDF, whatever. That's what this file submission means. It means they're giving you a digital file. A text submission is if you click on text submission, they'll go here and they'll be able to type in one of those, just those web interfaces where they can actually just type content. You know, very good for journaling, helpful for if you just want them to reflect on something, or if you just want to see a short, you know, there's a lot of ways that you can use a text submission. Sometimes it's just easier to have a quick little blurb where you don't have to keep on opening up tons and tons of Microsoft Word documents. On paper submission means that they're going to give this to you actually physically. They're giving you a physical copy. And what that does is it doesn't allow them to turn something in digitally, which is helpful. It means it's just like one way that they can turn something in. Helpful, of course, if you're having a face-to-face class, or helpful if you're just manually going to score something outside of the system. There's also observe in person, where I guess you just, again, manually, we would just go and type in numbers. Okay, any questions about the submission types? Okay. Let's see. Marked as completed manually by learners. That means that they come in, they do it, they mark it as completed. Automatically on evaluation means when I grade it, it's marked as completed. Automatically on due date means that in their, as students go through here, they see metrics, they see when they finish something, like, you know, task 1's done, task 2 is done, etc. Here it's saying that as soon as the assignment is like hits a due date, it means it's technically done in their checklist. Okay, so evaluation and feedback. So you can actually attach rubrics to assignments. But you see right here that this rubric, little rubric thing here, is grayed out, or I should say it's like lightened. It's not fully colored. It's kind of like masked. I can't click on that yet. I think it's something to do with an admin setting that's just off right now, that just needs to be selected on. I'm going to still show it to you because the rubrics are really nice if you can, especially if you can build them and put them in here easier, because it gives a lot of feedback. I'll show you how to build rubrics next. Make sure that this is checked too. Make annotation tools available for assessment. I don't know, Jeff or Frank, if you've ever seen to where if you go on the screen, you can see in Joule, you can type in, you can put a annotation without even downloading the documents. Mm-hmm. This is basically what it's saying, is that it's making that available to where you don't have to keep on downloading all the same, you know, the 20 Microsoft Word documents from each of your students, that you can just highlight, you can edit, you can, I don't want to say edit, you can actually mark up and provide feedback on the web browser instead of having to download and re-upload your annotated copies of Word or PDFs or whatever. Have that on there. Some people ask me, is it the same tools as Joule? Most of them are going to be all the same tools, where you can put text box with comments, you can put little bubbles and arrows, you can there's probably a little highlight and a little draw area. So all those tools are pretty standard when it comes to these types of these types of feedback utilities. Anyway, keep that on. I'm going to go and show you right now how to actually, I'll just hit save and close, how to actually build the rubric for when it does become available to us. So you go to course tools and you go to rubrics. Okay. So here are a few that I started to develop already. I'm just going to click on new rubric just to show you something fresh. Okay, we'll call this paper 3. Okay. You can select different types of rubrics. There's 2. There's analytic and there is holistic. Analytic are the ones that we're used to seeing. They're very spreadsheet oriented. They give you the different performance levels, the different criterion for the assignment. You can see that this one's level 4, 3, 2, 1. You can edit these. And then the School of Education now is using a 0 through 3. Start at the bottom and work your way up. If you don't, you're going to get little nagging messages stating, hey, make sure that you, you know, start at the beginning. You can't have like the numbers the same. If there's redundant numbers, you're going to get a little warning tag. You can, of course, also change the point numbers for each of these levels. So if I want to do 0, 1, 2, and 3, here we go. And you'll notice that these were 4 at one point. Now they've been switched to 3. So it actually auto updates the different rubrics and the different calculations. You can come over here to Criterion and start to add the text that you want to do, text in here. Say, for instance, if I'm doing, you know, ideas, maybe I'm assessing ideas here. Maybe I'm in here, I'm going to do creativity. I'm just doing anything. You can also then do your descriptors for each level as you know, go through this progression in the rubric. I'm just going to put some garbled text here just to show you how it looks. If you are done with 2 and you want to get rid of 1, you can always hit the trash can. I'm just going to keep 2 for now. You can do the same thing also if there's too many columns. If you want to control that, you can hit the trash can here. Do one of these. I'm just going to keep it the same amount of levels. If you want to chunk your different criterion into criteria groups, say for instance, this might be on top might just be the ideas for the assignment, down below might be like language mechanics or something. You could do that as well. You can chunk them into different areas if you'd like. Now you'll see that the points right here are out of 6. Let's see. You can control, I believe, the points here. I'm testing this out, so this can't be less than or equal to level 3. So if I do 6, let me do 6 here. Let's do, I don't know, 4 here. Let's do 3 here and 2 here. So here you can kind of weight things if you want to. So see, since I'm at total out of 6, this level 4 might be worth so many different points. So you can mess around with the different levelings, like how much each is worth. So that's a nice option. Let's see with the rubric. I will say this, once you go into options, you can control whether the students can see it. I always suggest having them visibly see the rubric. This way they know how they're being assessed. However, you can hide it. You can also hide it until they actually receive the published feedback. You can hide scores. If you want to hide descriptions in here, these are descriptions that you see, but not your students. So for instance, let's say you have like 3 different versions of a rubric, or maybe you're editing rubrics in the system as you keep on going. Like this is rubric, I don't know, this is my 2017 edition. Maybe you have a new one that you've created in 2019. You can put like additions here. You can put like notes that, but anyway, these are just descriptions that nobody's going to see except you in the system. They're helpful, again, if you do different editions. Where it says allow new association and competencies in ePortfolio, please keep these checkboxes on. Competencies is the issue I think that's going on with why I can't link the rubrics right now with assignments. That's probably coming in the near future, but I just can't get them to work right now. I think it's an admin problem that we're trying to fix in the background right now. I sent a message to Krista asking, and I also looked it up to see what was the issue. Okay,
hey, so Ryan, I've got 2 questions for you. I guess one is when you were talking about the hidden text, like one of my
yeah, right here
is like when I go to like search my rubrics, like if I want to tweak one and use it as a template, it'll bring up like everything except the kitchen sink. It seems like, is there a way to like tag these in Brightspace? Like if I want to recycle a rubric like from one course and maybe tweak it and use it again, is there a way to like tag those so when I go back and search for it, like if I want to
I
use
think
it?
there are sorting tools in the rubric inventory, but I don't have enough rubrics to really test it. But
Okay.
there are ways. Let me do this. Let me get out of here right now and go to course tools and rubrics just to show you, because I think I have a couple rubrics in here right now and I can show you how they can filter.
Okay.
Okay, so here's the search for. So let me see if I can, let me just hit test and see if that comes up. So here you go. So it actually does
Oh,
give you
okay.
search in your name. I mean, it really is
That's nice.
quite diverse. So let me just test it and see if it'll actually, maybe it's because test is assigned to everything. Text only, percentages. I mean, although I failed in how
I
I
mean,
was
that
going to
helps.
search it, you get everything here. So there are good search tools here for you.
Cool.
I just don't have the experience to know exactly how truly awesome the database can be.
Well, yeah, it looks better than Moodle already, so
Oh, good. Yeah.
that's a start. The
And
other
what was your
question
second
too,
question, Jeff? Sorry.
I saw like standards before in like one of the windows, and then you were just talking about competencies too. So this is probably like a topic for another workshop in the spring, but like doing gen ed assessment and departmental assessment. Is there any
Yes.
direction on setting that up now, or is
I
that like
don't.
down
That
the
is
road?
something that we've talked about, because I know in accreditation it can be extremely valuable, because this can, especially, I know that we've purchased whatever the data analytic like resources. I don't know the name off the top of my head, but it's, you have it, and you can do a lot of the curriculum mapping, the assessment mapping. You can run your entire accreditation platform off of it, from what I see. It's a lot of man and women, like it's a lot of like man hours, women hours behind doing this work, but you can, yeah, you can link to standards. The competencies, obviously you can do that as well. In fact, you have to have competencies on for the rubrics to connect, but there's a lot of like learning analytics behind here.
Okay, cool.
Yep. But yes, so that's definitely a future project to consider for your department or for the school.
Awesome. Thanks.
So any more questions on rubrics? And I'm apologize that I can't get it to work and show you how to link it. Linking is, I think, again, it's just a matter of probably just a switch being turned on. However, once you link it, it'll be connected to that assignment. And again, you can copy them and reuse them in different ways. If you're going to start like, and I'm just talking about lists from the School of Education, knowing their tools. If you want to try and differentiate this data, I don't know how the best way to do that yet is. That is, like, these rubrics are going to start generating academic data for you. I'm not sure yet on like the easiest way to actually structure it yet. If you're worried, you can like date these if you want to. If you want to like duplicate one and use one in the spring and in the summer and in the fall, you can do that. I don't know about the filtering. If not, you probably would want to use the rubrics, the same rubric over and over again to make the same data bucket. So there's a lot of potential in the future for this. I know a lot of people are excited about, like, that this could potentially be a really good data warehouse, and it can. I do think there's going to be a lot of work in the background for it. Okay, let's see, annotation tools. Okay, I promised I was going to show the gradebook. So let me go to a sample class that I was working with during my trainings, because there is a student, like a fictitious student enrolled in this course that I can show you. Okay, so to get to grades, you can go to course tools and go to grades if you'd like. And you can see that I have a student right here, student demo. This is just a fictitious account. Let me talk about the structure of the gradebook. Right now, this is in what's called spreadsheet mode, which is I can come in here and start putting scores in here for my student manually if I'd like. Okay. If you just want to come and take a look at the student and their scores, you can click on this button right here, which then puts it into standard view, which is just, I'm seeing all these scores. They're all in read-only mode. I can't come in here and start editing all this stuff right here. It's just, it's closed and locked down. If I want to start manually coming in and doing scores, I click on spreadsheet view, and then I can come in here and start clicking on things and typing in numbers. Okay. So that's like I find that to be the most helpful way of, if you have to come in here and change a grade, you can. Now let me go back to my home for just a second and explain how is the easiest way to grade things. Now let's say you're teaching 2 or 3 courses, okay? It's the springtime, you're teaching 2 or 3 courses. Maybe you have an assignment in your 100 level class. Maybe you have an assignment coming up in your 200 level class. And you're like, well, I have to grade both of these. You know, I have to jump back and forth into each of my courses. It wastes time. This little thing right here called Quick Eval has nothing to do with course evaluation. It's about having all of the assignments that are due and submitted to you in one place for you to assess. So if you click on here, mine's going to be empty because I had no student submit anything. But what I can do is I can come in here and start grading in a streamlined process. Now, let's say I have 2 classes right now going, like maybe a paper that I have to grade and maybe I have an activity that I have to score. You can do it all here. You could do it, I'm just going to grade all my papers first. You can grade all your papers first here and then move on to the activity second. You can do it any way you want. Or if you feel like, oh, I'm going to grade it as soon as I get it in just like a, almost like a time stamp. I'm like, whatever comes to me first, or, whatever I have like first, that's what I'm going to get. You can grade first, second, third, whatever. It's whatever you prefer. That's how it ends up streaming into Quick Eval. And the scores obviously are populating whatever the assignment is in each of the courses. I love that a lot because I think that's going to make grading a lot easier. Let's see. So let me go back out to the main page.
Hey, Ryan, I've got another question. Just like thinking about the rubrics and on a larger level, just like importing stuff from Moodle in general. Is that fairly painless? Like, how does it translate, or is it going to be like a lot of uploading individual artifacts? Like I remember when we went from Blackboard to Moodle, like you could download the course and kind of plug it in. And it needed some tweaking and stuff, but it wasn't like starting from square one. Have you had a chance to like play with that at all?
I have. Okay, so I don't use dual rubrics at all. The reason being is the School of Education uses a different assessment tool. They use chalk and wire. So a lot of us will give our students copies just to have inside of Joule, but most of them are just in like Excel spreadsheets or in Word tables or something like that. I've never brought it in from a document into, I haven't tested to see how it works out because it's barely friendly to just upload a new tool or just take a rubric and copy and paste all the criterion in there. It'll probably take you until you know the steps and how to prepare the file. Like if you're bringing a Word file, or it's probably going to be an Excel spreadsheet in a CSV type of format, it's probably going to just take easier just to copy and paste all and set up the rubric and just make copies of it in the future than it is to try and bring it in from a Excel spreadsheet. So that's my like advice.
Okay. What about the course level, like the assignments and discussion forums? I mean, does that translate at all? Will it import and kind of will the those be hanging out as artifacts that I then need to maybe clean up a little bit, or is it again like just starting from
Are you talking about the
scratch?
assignment? Okay, assignments and
Like if I took
discussions
the
being brought
course,
over from Joule.
if I like
You-
downloaded a whole course from Joule, like can
uh,
I plug it into Brightspace and clean it up, so to speak?
Now I
I
get what
guess
you're
that's the
talking about.
question.
Okay.
Yeah, I was asking too about the rubrics that
Okay.
and they maybe
So
do that, but
rubrics I haven't tested.
right.
When assignments come over, it's a pretty nice migration over for the assignments. Okay. I think it even keeps their point values. So that's a good news. The issue is you just need to make sure that the assignments are linked to a grade book and make sure that the points are there. So just what I suggest you do is when you import everything in, I can show you what it looks like because I do have my course that I had audited. So part of our contract with Brightspace is they took one of my courses and brought it in to from Joule to Brightspace, and I'll show you what I had to do differently because of just issues. So let me show you. So I'm going to go to course tools. I'm going to go to grades, and you can see I had no grades in here. So let me manage grades. It should show you all the assignments. Okay. So what I have here is I have all the assignments. They came all over. However, it all depends on how I collected the assignments. So, for instance, trying to give you the best one for my presentation, I guess is the best way to state it. I didn't put that I had to collect a digital document. So it was marked as like the wrong way for the students to submit it
Okay,
because I wasn't collecting a digital document. So make sure your file submissions, the way that they're going to pass it in, is clear in your directions that came over from Joule, and also that you're set up to where you're going to collect the right type of information, that you're going to collect the file, the submission in the correct way.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm. So this is just a course that's been developed. I don't know why it says a maximum amount of points is 421. I have to go in. Oh, it's because of these things right here. I have to fix all these little things. So these are some of the things when it comes in that you have to adjust, like the point values might be wrong. It's because all the points pretty much down to like these performance assessment tasks, they were looking right. They were going to equal 100, but I think some of the point values when they came over, some of these are things that I created that are new that I think didn't overwrite something. So you just have to make sure your grade book is correct.
Gotcha. Okay.
That's all. And it's just a matter of trial and error. I can't give a perfect formula on how it's done. It's gonna do a pretty good job of bringing it over and having it ready for students to do it. But you may just need to make sure your grade book is okay.
Okay. That's reasonable.
Yep.
Thanks.
Any other questions on the grade book? It's going to be easier to see once you have more students in here, because right now I'm just showing you all these different sandboxes that have no activity in them. It's really hard for me to, kind of demonstrate how exactly it's going to look till you have more folks actually, students actually in here.
Are we
Uh,
able to set up test student accounts too? Just to, I know we can like switch roles and view it as a student, but can we like set up like a dummy student account so we can kind of submit something and then see how it plays out on both ends as part of the sandbox? You know, like when I'm asking like populate
Yeah,
our
no, I get.
sandbox with the
Yeah,
student.
just some
Yeah.
accounts so you can test them. I'd have to ask Krissa to see if you can do it. And by the way, if you ever need to see what the students are seeing, you can always go up to your name. You may know this. You can
Yeah.
click on View as Learner so that you can see things as a learner. But this isn't going to be where you're creating like data so you can see students in a grade book. But if you ever want to see what your students are seeing, you can always go to View as Learner, and then you can always change it back. That was a similar setting to Joule, but it's just called something different inside of Brightspace, in case you didn't see that in another training. I'm trying to see if there's anything else. Have you all had working tests and quizzes at all? Any introduction to it? I have a few minutes. I can go in and show you just how to add tests and quizzes. Much the same way you go to coursework. Now you can do this a few ways. You can build them, or you can build them just kind of like in a vacuum, or you can just go right into coursework and decide to start building it right inside of your kind of like the structure of your lesson. So let's say, for instance, I'm going to go to a sandbox, not in this. This course is actually going to be a live course soon. So let me go into my sandbox, a nice safe space where I don't care if I mess something up. Okay, so quizzes. I'm just going to build up right here inside of quizzes. You can see I already was building a few. Hit new quiz. Let's call this quiz 4, I guess. You can add categories to your gradebook or to your assessments too. So you want to just say that these are like quizzes, tests, assignments, activities, tasks, whatever you want to call them. You can add categories if you'd like. Okay, so I'm going to start to develop questions. There's a lot of different variety of questions in here. Again, the import's going to be much the same way, Jeff. It's going to be, you have to have it probably set up correctly inside of a CSV file. If you want to find out the exact directions, you'd probably have to go to the Brightspace community and just look up importing quizzes. I'm just going to show you how to add them from just brand new questions. Here are the different question types. You have true or false, multiple choice, multi-select, where you can select a bunch of different types. Let's see. Actually didn't want to go to that one. Can't stand that question. Let me hit cancel in here and just go to a question that's a little easier to see during a training. New questions, and I'm just going to do true and false. Let's see, Brightspace is our LMS. And from here, you can actually create, again, you can do feedback if you want to, independent feedback. You have to mark here what your answer is. You can do overall feedback. You can count how many points this is worth. So if this is going to be 1 or 10 or 20, you can obviously change it if you want to. And it gives you a nice little preview right here as you're going through and developing the course. And here's your question. You can add another one. So this will be, I'll just do a multiple choice one here. But let's say I want this one to be worth 3 points. You can do that. You can also randomize the answers. So this way, again, it's going to decrease the amount of cheating going on. So now my test is worth 4. So I'm just going to stop creating questions. Let me just show you what type of other questions you have. True or false, multiple choice, multi-select. Here's your written responses. Now, much like Joule, if you type them in here, you're going to have to then grade these things manually before they're released properly to the students. Short answer, multi-short answer, fill in the blank, and then all these other ones matching, ordering, arithmetic, and significant figures. So a lot of different choices. I'm going to go back. I'm going to hit back to settings. Again, this has breadcrumbs. So this is properties. I see my questions. You can put all these other types of features in here if you want to. You can also do notification emails to where if you can get notified if they're finished, if they submit something. I'm going to come back up here to restrictions. You can put a due date if you'd like. You can set like the availability window, like when it starts and when it ends. You can mark if it's going to display in their student calendar. This way it's going to show up that it's, hey, it's set for December 17th at this time. Here's your window. It's going to show up on their calendar. If this is a quiz that's kind of built in to be, oh, this is the end of module 1, you could do release conditions where it's saying if you're finished all of module 1, this quiz is released to them to take. I don't really mess around with these release conditions yet because of just I haven't had the time to play with all the different features in here. It is nice once we get into more advanced features and once we really start to mature in the adoption process that we start to explore this, and I think intelligent agents are going to be really cool too. Timing, you can set up a timer. You can show a clock if you want to. Allow selected users special access. If your students are going to be out of town or something like that, you can provide them with special access and privileges to get the test early or after the test is over. This might also be helpful if you have kids if you have students in different time zones. That although I think the time zone for the may work when it comes to the web browser, I suggest you still try and give them the same window, because now we're starting to deal with a lot of students that are out of state, out of country even. So just beware about that the time of your test. Make sure to be very clear in the window that you're giving them. And you'd hit save and close. Okay, if you want to go back in and edit some more, you can just click on here and hit edit. I showed you all the restrictions, assessment, add grade item. So if it's not already in the grade book, I can click on add grade item. It's going to connect it to my grade book. Automatic. What the students will actually view if they see the score. You can give them multiple attempts if you want to. You can also score, like do a grade calculations, like what's the highest attempt when it comes to the score. And that's pretty much how to set up a quiz or a test. Any questions on any of the other quizzes, tests, and assignments? The video assignment, the bongo, we're going to have to do a different like session. That is really intricate. That could take an hour or two of training. It's too much to do right now during assessment. I wanted just to show you all the nuts and the bolts of it.
This was wonderful. It was very helpful. Thank you.
Thank you very much for participating. Any other questions? I'm going to stop the recording. Any other questions you all might have?